All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being with us today for our next webinar in our transition series about the WWRC, the Wilson Workforce Rehabilitation Center. Just as a reminder, earlier this week, we had a webinar on DARS. So that webinar will be very helpful to you as kind of a companion to this one. So that webinar that was recorded along with the slides are on our transition series Padlet. And today's webinar slides and recording will be posted on our Padlet later today for you to be able to review. So we're really happy to have James Hall with us today. James is the manager of the Career and Workforce Development program, and I'm so happy to have him here today. I looked back, the last time we had you here, James, was like in 2020 or 2021. So at that time, lots of things were virtual. So happy to have you again to give us an update on how all of it's going now. So with that, let me get started. I just want to remind everyone to please put their questions into the Q&A box, and we will have time to get to all of those. So with that, I will let you get started. Thank you, James.
Well, thank you all. Good seeing you all. Happy Thursday. And I just want to thank Diane for inviting us back, and also to you all for being able to log in, and especially to the Arc of Nova in Northern Virginia. It always has a special place in my heart because I lived in Northern Virginia. I lived in Prince William County in Woodbridge, but also in Chantilly in Fairfax County. And I started out in Fairfax County at Hayfield High School as a special ed teacher and a football coach. And so their football team's undefeated, so go Hawks. I'm excited to always present to this group. And what I'll be able to do is take everyone through the slides. Feel free to ask questions in the chat as we're going through. And again, my name is James Hall. I'm the manager of the Career and Workforce Development Division at the Wilson Workforce and Rehabilitation Center. And I know it's a mouthful, so I'll start using WWRC, and also for the Career and Workforce Development Division, CWDD. We are located in Fishersville, Virginia, about 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on traffic, south of Northern Virginia. We are part of DARS as an agency. That is our parent agency. And with DARS, and you heard Tyler Sheffer from Alexandria present yesterday, so we are all one DARS. Let me go through my screen real quick. And who are we? Our goal and our mission is to help individuals with disabilities to create personal independence through employment. And the goal is competitive, integrated employment. And we have a couple stats here up on the screen and who we are. We serve individuals from high school age, 14, all the way to the aging population, because we are part of DARS, Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services. So we serve youth, in addition to adults. Now, 58% of our students are between the ages of 18 and 21. And so it's similar to their first year of college or post-secondary. So think of this as the perfect transition from high school to employment, or to either, I would say, further education or independent living. In addition, some of our unique stats, 44% of our students in vocational training had autism spectrum disorder, but we also are open to all disability categories. That's where we're working with our DARS partners to be able to make sure you're able to be eligible for services and apply to WWRC, again, the Wilson Workforce and Rehabilitation Services. We are located in Fishersville, just off Interstate 64. You guys can take 29 down, 95, 81, just a variety of ways to get here. We're very easily located at the intersection of 81 and 64. We try to have everything under one roof. An example, instead of having to go off campus for appointments, we're trying to have everything under one roof with our OT, occupational therapy, our physical therapy, communication services, which could be speech and language therapy, PT, physical therapy, but we also have things to do at night. An example would be our recreation therapy that we have, student health, behavioral and mental health supports. So we are wraparound services all under one roof. Our programs vary in length. And as I go through the slides, I'll explain the length of each program. But most of our programs on the vocational training are 1 year, but we also have 1 week programs, vocational evaluation, also 4 to 6 weeks for our driving. We do have wait lists for some programs, so we always recommend to apply early, especially when you're eligible for DARS. So I do have a graphic here on the screen, and at the very top, it says high school student. So you're looking at transition, either for a high school student or maybe for a young adult. And we try to have arrows going through explaining how do we get to WWRC. Our high school program is called PERT, and that's a post-secondary education and rehabilitation and transition program. That's where a student is able to come in their high school working with our transition team and case manager to come here during their high school years, usually their junior and senior year. Well, let's say maybe you were not able to come during your high school years. It's okay. You're still able to come to WWRC as an adult. Our adult services over here to your left could be based in the community, based upon your vocational evaluation. If you want to be able to come to WWRC just for a vocational evaluation, that's at the bottom left. We also have a workplace readiness program, which is a 6-week program. As I come across the bottom of the screen, our vocational training programs, those are roughly our 1 year. And then we also have our driving services. I will go through each of these programs as we go through the slides, and think of us as a continuum of services as opposed to either or. Our goal is, again, further education or competitive integrated employment. So our first program, the PERT program, you probably have heard about this as your students were going through high school or young adults coming out of transition. And our PERT program, we try to have multiple service lines due to the fact that it meets the needs of employers, service providers, and families, and also above all, the consumer or the student. Our main program is the PERT Comprehensive, which is a 5-day program. So that is 1 week. They come either on a Sunday or a Monday, and they stay through Friday, and then they're able to go home. And during that week, we're able to have a vocational evaluation where you're looking at your skills, your abilities, and aptitudes. We're also being serviced with our pre-employment transition services, looking at self-advocacy, secondary workplace options, post-secondary options. Is there a work-based learning component? So we're also looking at how do we have the residential and leisure activities assessment in addition to instruction as appropriate. Students are able to go out on site. They're able to go with support. We're able to take them to a local business to learn about a budgeting aspect at night. And then we're able to apply that the next day. The next day could be looking at how did we use our money appropriately for the independent living skills aspect. We also could say, what are you interested in? What careers drive you? What would you like to explore? So think of PERT as the exploration of work. We also have a transition academy. A transition academy is for 3 days where your student or consumer, you're able to come with the support. Sometimes we have the DARS counselor, maybe a transition coordinator, maybe the SPED case manager is able to come and spend the 3 days with the student here on campus going through the same program. Instead of 5 days, it is 3 days. We also have community PERT, and community PERT is where we go to you. We come to the community and we teach career exploration activities, post-secondary job and counselor training. And it is for 3 days, and we have PERT staff come to your areas in the community. We also have an exploration and training, and that's where you want to explore maybe one of our vocational training programs. You're like, well, how does it feel? What does it look like? You're able to come for 3 to 5 days, and you're able to shadow within vocational training. And that is part of the job exploration. We're also excited to share our newest idea called Credential Week. Credential Week is looking at the National Retail Federation, customer service and sales, and retail fundamentals. And we're able to specifically apply those customer service skills within a store setting. And what that looks like is we have the items out, we have the customers come, we have them interact in a real life setting. And then at the end of the week, we're able to test for the credential because that's very important for employment on the NRF. And I have to say, we're very excited. We have had an 80% pass rate on the last group, in addition to a 100% pass rate on our credentialing week. So we're very excited about our newest innovation. We also have a 3 and 1 day program, career seminar and career day. And that's where, if it works best for the student, if they can't come for a week, maybe they can come for a day and shadow in areas, looking at what they may potentially be interested in. We also have a virtual component, similar to what we're doing here. We know not everyone is able to take off work and come to Fishersville. Well, we'll try to come to you. The virtual component after COVID, I think the world has changed. And so how do we adapt and innovate as well? And with virtual PERT, that is up to 5 hours throughout a whole week. And that's where you'll be able to look at the workplace readiness instruction. You'll also be able to have a virtual tour of campus. So PERT is our high school program. And again, if you're not able to come in high school to PERT, we do have adult programs. And that's where I'll go next. So this next slide is vocational evaluation. This either could be a standalone program where you come for 1 week, or it's part of your PERT program. Well, let's talk about what it would look like if you were coming for 1 week as an adult. This is where you're able to come on a Monday and you start on a Tuesday. And from Tuesday through Friday, you are in the labs. And the labs, you're able to pick 2 out of 3 labs. We have labs and services, humanitarian, trades, horticulture, carpentry, and you're able to pick 2 out of 3 areas to explore. We're looking at the work behaviors, the social skills, work performance abilities. What are your strengths? What can you do, not what you can't do? And if there are recommendations, you're able to meet with the counselor to have a recommendation for a plan to be able to come back, because you have to have a vocational evaluation to be able to come back. But if not, we'll be able to say, these are some skills that you're able to work on to hopefully come back, or also work in the community, provide supports within the community. Vocational evaluation is very popular, and we're very excited to offer it. And if you are interested, definitely apply. After vocational evaluation, they're able to recommend one of our many programs. Our newest program is the Workplace Readiness Program. This is a 6-week program where we're working on the 13 soft skills that WWRC and DARS were able to make in conjunction and collaboration together. Again, our mission of one DARS. And these are the 13 work behaviors. I'll hit some of the highlights: punctuality, attendance, personal presentation, safety awareness and practices, attention detail. How do you respond to supervision and feedback? Maybe it's work energy, work stamina. So these are some of the barriers that an individual may have based upon their eligibility for DARS. Well, how do we meet that? How do we accommodate that? This is a 6-week program. We take students every 3 weeks. So if you are interested, apply. And we found that talking to employers, these are the skills that not only allow you to get the job, but also maintain the job as well. Well, let's say you came through PERT. You came through vocational evaluation. You came through the workplace readiness program. You're on that continuum. Well, next, we have our adult vocational training programs. I'll try to translate if you have students who are in high school. Think of this as CTE, Career and Technical Education, and you're coming out of high school. If you're a young adult, vocational training, these are where you're looking at multiple career pathways, earning industry-recognized credentials, leading to competitive integrated employment. And the programs that we have, the top left of your screen, a very popular one, auto mechanics. So we have the program auto mechanics, but the career pathways that we have tire and lube technician. That's our first pathway. If you find that the tire and lube, you're very successful in that pathway, you're able to move on to the next pathway, automotive service technician. Well, let's say after tire and lube, you may not be interested in automotive service technician. That's fine. Our goal for these pathways are just like the exit on a highway. You can get off and get on that is appropriate for you. We individualize these programs to meet the needs of the students and your consumers. The program that we have in auto mechanics specifically leads to the credential OSHA 10, which is safety. Also looking at ASE, which is automotive service excellence, maintenance, and light repair. We found that hearing from employers, that was very popular because you're going to be a generalist. Our programs are 1 year long, so we don't have time to get to the master mechanic, but we do have time to get to proficiency. The reason our programs are 1 year is because we want you to be able to go to work. If you're interested in a 2-year program, local community colleges do have those at night. Our newest program in vocational training is very popular as well. It's called Building Trades. Working with employers and our business development managers, we were able to implement this program last year. And we have 2 pathways. The first one is construction laborer. And the reason we look at the laborer is because in building trades, looking at a generalist, HVAC, plumbing, heating, electricity, masonry, so that you're able to go on any job site and work in construction. Our goal afterwards is to have a construction and related worker as the second pathway. The goal is an apprenticeship or a work-based learning experience with a local employer in the community. That would be working with the local DARS counselors that you heard from Tyler yesterday to try to find an appropriate placement for the apprenticeship. The pathways, in addition, lead to a credential, OSHA 10, but also OSHA 30, especially when you're on the apprenticeship site. And we also offer the forklift certificate as an add-on enhancement. Another program that we have is business. The pathways in business are customer service representative and general office assistant. In those 2 pathways, we do have internships, where the internship is 6 weeks at the end of the program, where you're able to generalize from what you learned in the classroom and apply it in the actual work setting. Our credential is the National Retail Federation Customer Service and Sales. In addition, our goal is the Microsoft Office Suite, where you're looking at expert level or master level in Access, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. We also have food service and culinary arts, and specifically food service. We have the 3 pathways of dishwasher, dining room attendant, and food service worker. Think of it as the restaurant. We want to serve the back of the house, but also the front of the house. So along these pathways, what's the best fit to on-ramp or off-ramp? Our credential in food service is Serve Safe Food Handler Certificate and the Serve Safe Manager credential. We also have forklift. If you are interested in coming just for the 2-week forklift program, come on. That's great. We love it because it's an enhancement to our other programs, but you also can get employed in forklift in other areas, in warehouses, maybe a local Lowe's or home improvement shop. But we have found that's a popular program as well. We have manufacturing technology. That is a program that works specifically in manufacturing. How do you take a product that is raw to a completed product? Our pathway is manufacturing technology technician, and we have multiple credentials that one can earn. The OSHA 10 certificate, our manufacturing specialist certificate, our manufacturing business certificate, our manufacturing technician 1, you may hear it as MT1 certificate. We also have the drone pilot certificate because we found that drone was something that the businesses were looking at, and how do we adapt that and add innovation? And we also can integrate the forklift. Our next program is materials handling. Think of materials handling as logistics. How are we moving products within a warehouse, outside the warehouse, or within, using forklifts? You can use pallet jacks. Our pathway is stock or warehouse sales associate, leading to a credential in certified logistics associate. We also have supply chains, inventory, and logistics. We call it SCIL. We also have the Clorox Pro Healthy Clean, because if you're working, let's say, in Food Line or any grocery store, you're able to clean. Or if you're working in a pharmaceutical environment, you have to have high standards of cleaning. So we found that was something the employers enjoyed. And we also can add the forklift certificate to that program. Well, let's say we do not have a program that's customized for an individual. We have an external training option. Well, what does that mean? Well, external, outside of WWRC, training, providing training, but the option is where the business provides the training in the business and not at WWRC. Some things that we have are animal care, carpentry, childcare, cosmetology, and we've even had a unique one, an assistant funeral home director. Well, we don't have a funeral home set up here at WWRC, but we were able to work with a local community mortician to be able to have an experience for that student who is looking for that customized program. So it's really cool. The external training option, the students still come here. They live on campus. They're able to use our transportation, and they're able to have that work-based learning experience in the community, and the business is training them. And so that is customized, and we have a plethora of options. We also have an IT boot camp, and that is where we work with the Peninsula District, and that is in the Tidewater region where the peninsulas are, specifically on the CompTIA A+ certification. It's currently limited to that region because they're the ones who are able to provide the instructors. And we also have a driving program, which is very popular. I know it's at the bottom of this slide, but I have a little larger slide toward the end that I'll be able to go more in depth. So I'm checking the chat here. We don't have too many questions yet, but if you do have one, feel free to put it in here. And hopefully maybe I'm doing a good enough job of answering the questions, but if not, hit us up here in the bottom right corner.
James, there is one question about the PERT program. It's in the Q&A box. During the PERT program training week, are the students, are the students required to stay in the dorm, or can they commute every day?
So what we're able to do, if you are local, you are able to commute to PERT. If you're not local, we suggest living in the dorms because you don't have to worry about the transportation. But we do make it customized for that individual. Hopefully that answers it. And we do have roughly 4 to 5 local students that live within the Shenandoah Valley that are able to drive, because that is a real life work experience. You have to find transportation to work. Well, how are you finding transportation here to WWRC? So yes, we do have options. And thank you for that question. Looking at our driving services, and driving is a very popular program because what you'll find is it's also a barrier to employment in certain areas of the state. I know in Northern Virginia, you all have a robust transportation system, but we know in other areas they may not. So we find that driving is important. And in our driving services, we have 4 areas. We can do an evaluation when we're looking at, do you need to come for a day to see if it's appropriate to get a learner's permit, a behind the wheel, maybe adaptive driving equipment. So we do have an evaluation to see, hey, is WWRC the right fit? Or maybe working within the community with a local driving school is the right fit. We always want to show collaboration with anyone. We never compete, we collaborate. We also offer the learner's permit. And I'm excited about this because my own daughter got one yesterday. It's really a big step. We're excited. She worked through her local school division to be able to get that. But we also understand it may not be at the right time in the high school. So maybe as an adult, how do you get your learner's permit? Well, we offer it. Class size is limited to 6 to 7 students because we understand that sometimes small groups work best. We average 4 weeks, and we have 3 classes a day. And you can come just for learner's permit. You do not have to be enrolled in the workplace readiness program. You don't have to be enrolled in PERT. You don't have to be enrolled in vocational training. You can come just for the learner's permit class. It's very popular. Well, let's say you get your learner's permit and you want to drive. You want to get your driver's license. We do offer behind the wheel, where you're in the car with a behind the wheel instructor. All of our instructors are board certified through the VDOE along with DMV, both. So we do have a certified driving instructor. You do have to have your learner's permit first. And then with driving services, this is between 4 and 6 weeks. We try to offer a lot of hours behind the wheel so that they feel confident going out on the road. This is also a standalone service. You can come just for your driver's permit. And some other driving services that we offer are adaptive driving controls. In addition, an evaluation on mobility. If you are in a powered chair, maybe a scooter or walker, getting in and out of the car, we can do an assessment. We also, and this is pretty cool, the bitopic telescopic lenses. All right, what about vision? If we have vision needs, how do we access driving? Again, we look at what we can do, provide appropriate accommodations to be able to access driving, because that's a barrier to employment. And our ultimate goal is competitive, integrated employment. So you're probably wondering, how does an individual get to WWRC? Well, the good thing with Tyler, speaking from the Alexandria office yesterday, he may have gone into in-depth. How do you apply? What do you do? Well, I'll offer, if you're in high school, definitely reach out to your case manager and have the case manager reach out to DARS. We have DARS offices all across the state. And hey, can the DARS counselor come to the IEP meeting, specifically speak about the transition piece, and fill out the DARS paperwork there? If you're eligible for DARS services, you can ask to apply to WWRC. Well, let's say a student has graduated high school, or they aged out of the program, and they're young adults. How do you get to DARS? Out of the 30 offices, there's one in each area. Again, Alexandria. We also have them in Prince William and outlying counties. And the goal is you can just walk in. You can ask for an appointment to fill out the paperwork. You can also call on the phone. You can also email. We try to make it accessible. And I know because my own daughter, my oldest daughter is an individual who identifies as on the spectrum. And we're looking at applying for DARS services as she transitions to her next step. So even not only as a professional, but personally as a parent, I'm going through this process. And so you'll find that DARS counselors want to work with everyone. We also have the number for the 1-800 number, but I found that the local DARS offices, if you click on the link, and this PowerPoint will be shared, you can find your own specific office. You can also go to the website and you can just find the email. And I found that sometimes email is easiest. You can rip one out on your phone while you're sitting watching a game, or you may also call. I've spoken about transition coordinator or special education case manager, inviting them at the IEP meeting. But again, we're open for business. Our goal is, how do we provide access to employment to individuals with disabilities throughout the entire state? Some helpful links. We have put the website with a listing of the DARS office. We also have, what is vocational rehabilitation? How do we break down barriers to employment using appropriate accommodations? At the bottom left of the screen, you'll see the Wilson Workforce and Rehabilitation Center, our email for our admissions. If you are interested in coming for a tour, just like a college admissions, you can email them, call, and ask for a tour. And we have them every week, multiple days throughout the week. You'll be able to come and take a tour of the campus, see the dorms, see the dining halls, see the classrooms, to be able to hear from the instructors about our programs, the living arrangements, What are you able to do off campus? How's the security? So I definitely want you and encourage you to reach out to us if you do have any questions. And that's where the link is on the right side. Again, we are open for business. We would love to work with you. And this is part of the process of working with the ARC in Northern Virginia, working with DARS. We are $1. I wanted to open it up because we are coming to the end of the slides, and I don't want just me talking at you. So if you have any questions in the Q&A, I'll try to look at them also along with Diane. And I know it's recorded, but I'll give everyone just a second to be able to type in any answers or questions that you have.
So I actually have two questions while people are thinking and typing in their questions. I know that it's a very small number per school district of available slots to attend PERT. But I see now, like since the last time I looked, I see now that you have a virtual option for that. And then also you come to the community. So are there additional slots available, or how is there a limited number of people that can apply?
Correct. So I'll answer it in two ways. Great question, Diane. Per school division, there are a limited number of slots. I can say for Northern Virginia, it's a little more than other areas just due to the size, roughly 8 to 10 slots per school division. But we know that's not enough. So if you're interested in the virtual, we have more slots virtually for PERT. Again, that's our high school program. Also, another way to think of this is if you're on the wait list, and if we have Scott County in Southwest Virginia, one of their students does not show up, maybe they can reach out and say, hey, if you're on this list and you can come tomorrow, and you may be in Northern Virginia, could you take that one slot from Smith County that didn't show up? So I will kind of help you all out and just say, if you didn't get in initially at the first slot, didn't get in with the virtual, that waiting list, if you're able to come within that day or the next day, that may help you get in too as well. Great
And
question.
thank you, James. And I have one other question. So let's say a family is interested in one of these programs and they haven't applied to DARS yet. So obviously their first step is to call their local office and start the application process. About how long will it take to get them up and running to apply until they're able to attend one of these programs?
So our goal within DARS is to have rapid response to find your eligibility. And out of the goal is between 60 to 90 days. Well, once you're found eligible for DARS services, depending on the program, vocational evaluation, which is 1 week, that's roughly a 2 to 3 month wait list. WRP, Workplace Readiness Program, we're able to bring you in usually 3 to 6 weeks because there's more slots and that has more openings. Some of our programs in vocational training that are every 6 weeks, some have slots immediately, such as business, food service, but some have a waiting list. The ones with waiting lists would be auto mechanics and building trades and external training program. Those would be between 18 and 36 weeks. So it varies by the program. And that's why I definitely would say if you're working with your DARS counselor, say the program you're interested with, and then the counselor can say, okay, this is the wait it could be. Driving is also very popular. Driving is roughly a 3 to 4 month wait list. Great question.
Well, thank you, because the waiting list was my next question. So you you answered that in my other one. So thank you.
No problem.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Maybe not, James. You were very thorough.
Well, that was my goal. But also, I want to make sure that I see one pop up. Are there programs for low functioning nonverbal students? What I would recommend is we do have in PERT the Transition Academy, and that's where they're coming with the support. That could be the case manager at the school or the DARS counselor. What I would recommend doing is calling admissions, asking for a feasibility interview, because you're able to come to campus and it's a 1 day feasibility interview. Is this the right fit? Because maybe during the day we have the supports, at night we have supports, but how does the living independently aspect help with the day? So since we're a full comprehensive center, I would recommending with low functioning nonverbal a feasibility interview to see if it's the right fit. And you're able to call our admissions departments down here at the bottom left, the email to call. And that's what I'd recommend.
Thank you. That is a good question. Any other questions?
You're welcome. I saw it in the chat, so we're
No other questions? Well, then I guess we will let you go then. James, thank you very much. That was great, great information and new programs since the last time we spoke. So wonderful news.
again, thank you all for inviting me. And if you have any questions, reach out. As I stated earlier, open door. We are here to serve and we are open for business. And spread the word. We know there are families and communities that may not know about us. How are we helping not only families, but communities in the Commonwealth? And we're always here.
Great. Thank you so much, James. Thank you, everybody. And like I said, this will, the recording and the slides will be available on the Transition Series Padlet. Have a good day.